Hey there, have you ever been in a relationship where, I don't know, something just felt off? Like, you couldn't quite put your finger on it, but deep down you knew something wasn't right. Well, today we're going to dive deep into that feeling. We're going to look at the hidden drivers behind why we struggle in relationships and explore how our own bodies are often the most honest compass we have. And it really all starts with this one central question, doesn't it? Is it love, or is it just the fear of being alone? This is something so many of us ask ourselves when we're unhappy but just can't seem to leave. You know, that line between real love and a deep-seated fear of loneliness, it can get really, really blurry. It makes it almost impossible to know what's actually keeping you in a relationship that just isn't working anymore. All right, so here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll unpack that confusing mix of love and fear. Then, we're going to get into the really cool science of your nervous system and the role it plays in all this. After that, we'll learn how to actually decode your body's signals, look at the dangerous trap of self-abandonment, and finally, we'll map out a clear path to feeling safe again. Okay, let's jump right in with that first big question, love or fear. You know, we can start to get some real clarity here just by looking at a few super common signs that it might be fear and not genuine love that's really in the driver's seat. Do any of these hit a little close to home? Maybe you feel like you're constantly walking on eggshells, always scanning their mood just to keep the peace. Or maybe you find yourself making excuses for them or just holding on, hoping that one day they'll become that person you want them to be. If any of this sounds familiar, you are so not alone. These are just classic signs that the foundation of the relationship is built on fear, not a secure, loving connection. And here's something that's so important to remember. This is not a personal failing. This is biology. As human beings, we are fundamentally hardwired for connection. It's a primal, powerful drive. And that drive can literally make us cling to a relationship that isn't making us happy simply because the thought of being alone feels absolutely terrifying. So often, we get stuck in this loop, right? We blame our partner, or maybe we blame ourselves for having this same fight over and over again. But what if the real issue isn't about your communication styles? What if it's not even about compatibility? What if it's actually about your nervous system? This brings us to this really fascinating concept called neuroception. Okay, think of it like your body's own internal surveillance system. It's running 24/7 in the background, completely unconsciously, and it's constantly scanning for these tiny, subtle cues. You know, a cold tone of voice, a dismissive look, and it decides if you're safe or if you're in danger, way before your logical, thinking brain even has a chance to process what's happening. So, here's the bottom line. When your neuroception system picks up a threat, it flips you straight into survival mode. And when you're in that state, that classic fight, flight, or freeze, your brain literally cannot access the parts needed for curiosity, for empathy, for real problem solving. You're not trying to connect, your body is just trying to protect itself. So it doesn't matter how much you want to resolve an argument, you just can't if your body feels unsafe. Now, a really simple way to think about these states is with a color model. It just gives us a simple, non-judgmental way to talk about what's going on. When you're feeling safe and connected, you're in the green zone. When you're all amped up and anxious, that's the red zone. And when you feel yourself shutting down, withdrawing, or just feeling numb, you're in the blue zone. See? It's not about being good or bad. It's just about which state your nervous system happens to be in at that moment. All right, so if our nervous system is this sophisticated, intelligent system, why do we ignore its warnings so often? I mean, really? Let's dig into how our bodies are constantly sending us these powerful signals, and more importantly, why so many of us have been taught to just tune them out. It's a great question, right? Because we do it all the time. And the answer really lies in our social conditioning. It's about what we're taught about being polite or rational, and how those things are supposedly more valuable than listening to our own gut feelings. I mean, we've all heard it. Don't be so sensitive. You're overreacting. Just give them the benefit of the doubt. This kind of conditioning runs deep, and it teaches us to silence our body's wisdom. We learn to dismiss that knot in our stomach or that tightness in our chest, and we try to explain it away instead of listening to the critical information it's giving us. And look, these are not just random aches and pains. These are direct messages. That chronic fatigue you feel after you've been with your partner, that tightness in your chest that shows up during certain conversations, that is your body speaking to you in the only language it has. It's telling you loud and clear that something is fundamentally out of alignment. So what if we just reframe this whole experience? What if that feeling you've been calling anxiety isn't some flaw in your personality? What if it's not a disorder you need to fix?
What if it's actually a feature of your incredibly sophisticated internal guidance system, and it's working perfectly to try and keep you safe? And you see, this pattern of constantly overriding our body's signals, it leads us straight into a really dangerous dynamic, the self-abandonment trap. This is what happens when trying to fix or accommodate an emotionally unavailable partner ends up costing you, well, yourself. This is such a powerful, powerful truth. So often we get it in our heads that if we just love someone a little harder, or if we're more patient, or if we just need less from them, that they'll finally change and they'll feel safe with us. But that is just not how it works. You can't earn someone else's capacity for connection by erasing your own needs.
Just let that one sink in for a second. A healthy partnership should create space for both people to grow, to become more of who they are, not less. If the price of admission to stay in the relationship is to silence your opinions, hide your feelings, and shrink your very presence, then it's not a partnership. It's a sacrifice. And what this all leads to, ultimately, is a dynamic where you become responsible for regulating two nervous systems, yours and theirs. You end up shouldering the entire emotional weight of the relationship, which is not only incredibly unfair, it's completely and totally unsustainable. So, if we can't fix another person, how in the world do we break these painful patterns and build something healthier? Well, the answer starts with creating safety, first and foremost within yourself, and then with a partner who can actually meet you there.
This brings us to the biological key to healthy relationships. It's called co-regulation. Think about how a crying baby is soothed in a parent's arms. It's the same principle for adults. A calm, present nervous system can actually help regulate another person's nervous system that's in distress. This isn't weakness or codependence. It's literally our biological design.
And let's be clear, building your capacity for regulation isn't about trying to sidestep conflict. Not at all. It's about giving yourself and your partner the tools you need to stay present and connected during the conflict. That way, you can solve problems together as a team, instead of turning against each other when things get tough.
So here is a super simple but really powerful practice you can use anytime you feel a big emotional wave starting to build. Instead of getting swept away by it, you can micro-allow it. Just notice the feeling in your body. Name it softly to yourself, like, that's sadness, or there's anger. Stay with that physical sensation for just 5 or 10 seconds. And then gently shift your focus to something totally neutral. It teaches your body bit by bit that you can handle these feelings in small, manageable doses.
And when you feel that overwhelm or panic or numbness creeping in, your nervous system needs these tiny, believable signals of safety. Things like this are so simple. Just placing a hand over your heart, taking a few slow, long breaths out, noticing the feeling of your feet on the floor. These little actions anchor you in the present moment and send a powerful message to your body that says, I'm right here, and in this moment, I am safe. And really, this is the question that changes everything. It shifts the entire focus away from blame and what's wrong with someone and toward empowerment and a shared responsibility. It reframes the goal from fixing a person to building a foundation of safety, because creating that safety together, that is the real essential work of modern love.